Good evening, folks. How are you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic weekend, just like we are trying to do. And wow, been an interesting week. A lot of Nigerians always like a lot of drama. They always like a lot of sensational things happening all around us. People always want to scream blue murder over every little thing. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, Nigerians are very, or should I say, highly intelligent people. Now, because they're so intelligent, it takes quite a lot, to get Nigerians to believe what it is that you say to them. In a lot of cases, you have to go the extra mile to prove to Nigerians that what you're actually saying makes sense to them. Now, what are we talking about? There's a lot of braha, a lot of stuff that's been going on in the news, in recent times about Senator Ike Ekweremadu. Now, Ike Ekweremadu, like a lot of people know, was a deputy Senate president in Nigeria for 12 years. Ekweremadu has been a very interesting figure. Ekweremadu, for quite a long time, was actually, quote unquote, the organ piece of the PDP. He was deputy Senate president under the PDP. He went into a sort of arrangement with the then Senate president, who was then in the APC, Bukola Saraki, and he was there for 12 years. He was able to, manage and run things. Now, Ekweremadu, as we have all heard, has had some issues in the UK. Now, what are these issues about? Where did all this stuff come from? What exactly is the actual gist of what is going on where Senator Ike Ekweremadu and his wife, Beatrice, are concerned? We'll find out shortly after this. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Yeah, good to be back. Now, on the issue of Senator Ike Ekweremadu and his wife being arrested, in the UK, first things first, the issue is centered around their daughter, their 21-year-old daughter, who has a kidney related issue and is seeking an organ replacement. But there are lots of issues around that, how it should be done, the ethics behind it, and some of the challenges that come, when it comes to looking for an organ replacement. First things first, the issues that, they have been arrested for, what is causing all the, the plenty noise, is the issue of human trafficking. Now, you could be accused of human trafficking for taking the wrong steps, trying to do something that you think is actually, in your own best interest, while extending a helping hand to somebody else. But it could also be done in a very, very wrong way. Human trafficking is a very, very serious offense globally. While trafficking in human beings for organ removals is not a new phenomenon, it is underreported due to the clandestine nature of the crime. Combined with the lack of awareness by law enforcement agencies and the deficiency of information sharing channels between the medical and police sectors, says Cyril Brout, Interpol's Director of Operational Support and Analysis. Now, the problem of trafficking in human beings for organ removal, which is driven largely by the global shortage in organs for ethical transplants. While organ trafficking exists in all regions of the world, it is of particular concern in North and West Africa, where impoverished communities and displaced populations are at greater risk of exploitation. Illegal organ transplantation is estimated to account for 5 to 10% of all global organ transplants, generating between 840 million US dollars to 1.7 billion US dollars annually. And it's another form of human exploitation that is on the rise. There are quite a few pictures or videos that some people would have seen on social media of young people actually very desperate to get money and all that, and they're either doing stuff, cutting off their fingers or their toes or whatever. I don't know what the story behind that is. I'm not going to delve into that, so I don't digress. But we are beginning to see that there's a trend of some sorts. A lot of stuff is beginning to come to the fore when it comes to the issues of trafficking, exploitation, organs, and all sorts of stuff. But anyways, Ike Ekweremadu, who is a Nigerian politician and lawyer from Enugu State, who has served in the Senate of Nigeria since May 2003, a member of the PDP, who was also Deputy Senate President for 3 consecutive Senates from 2007 to 2019, which is about 12 years, was arrested recently with his wife, Beatrice, in the UK. Ekweremadu, who is also a visiting professor at the University of Lincoln, and his wife, Beatrice, appeared before a magistrate court in Oxbridge on Thursday afternoon for offenses related to alleged human trafficking and illegal organ harvesting. The whole issue is centered around their daughter and their daughter's search, for an organ replacement. She suffers from a kidney-related disease. Very strong matter. Very, very strong matter. A lot of us have, no idea where all this brouhaha started from. But a lot of questions need to be asked. And before we start to ask those questions, we need to ask ourselves several questions. And those questions should first start from, is this the first time that we are hearing of something related to this? In terms of our environment, the people we'll know, the people we have dealt with. Now, I'm not going to be speaking on behalf of either party, either Senator Ekweremadu, his wife, his daughter, or the person, who was arrested, who reported himself or went to the police to go and seek, support or whatever, and claims that he was being trafficked. I'm not going to speak on behalf of anybody. The issue that we're going to be discussing tonight is a social issue. Yes, there are some criminal elements to it, which I am not a lawyer, so I'm not going to be able to talk about, the aspects of the law, where these things matter and where they don't matter. The only thing I'm going to be talking about is the social aspect of it. The high level of poverty that is, in those countries, that were mentioned, or rather the regions that were mentioned by the Interpol report, which was particularly North and West Africa. How the politicians in those countries have taken advantage of the people, continuously over the years. How a lot of the things that are happening today ordinarily should not be happening if it was a case of several things had been done. Now, when we look at somebody of the personality of Ike Ekweremadu and his wife, Ekweremadu is a lawyer. Ekweremadu's wife, an accountant, like I heard. So they're highly educated people who would know better in terms of how to go about the process of looking for an organ replacement for their daughter. Now, there are lots of parents out there. I'm sure most of the people watching this, if not all, are actually parents. Or if you're not a parent, you have nephews, you have nieces, and all of that. And we all know the type of pressure, that you could fall under trying to help a child that is so close to you, so dear to your heart, to get out of such, a terrible issue. Everybody and anybody can fall ill. Everybody and anybody can fall ill. And when we are ill, like they say, it is when you have good health that you can say you want to go out partying, you want to wear clothes, you want to go after money and all of that. If you don't have good health, you have nothing. Good health, when you find yourself in a position of bad health, a lot of desperate measures, can be taken by people in order to try to resolve that issue. Unfortunately, Nigeria is a country where we have bad, quote and unquote, health services. If you don't have the money to pay for health services in a country like Nigeria, you're probably going to find yourself in a really deep rot. Everybody knows that, or at least most people know that. So the Ekweremadu's ordinarily, with their daughter, going through such a terrible situation, would be looking for how to resolve it, fly their daughter abroad if she doesn't live abroad already, and all that. And it takes years for people to be able to get access to an organ replacement. It takes a long time. There are long, long waiting lists for several reasons. One, it is not easy to get a match. Two, a lot of people are scared when it comes to actually giving out an organ and all of that. Yes, the doctors will tell you maybe you want to be able to live having just one organ. Maybe out of your kidneys they take out one, that kind of stuff, and then you're fine. You can manage the rest of your life, and then you save somebody else's life. But hey, that's doctor speak. We are Africans. A lot of us are scared when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Thirdly, when you look at the issue of giving out a part of your body, and it is to earn a certain amount of money, if you're under pressure financially, which a lot of young Nigerians are, then they probably will do something like that. Give up, one of their organs or the other. Now, who is this guy in question? Because I'll say guy, because a lot of us right now are not sure exactly what is going on. But we'll be looking at the facts as they have been presented so far, and we'll be able to come to our own individual, conclusions. Let me put it like that. Even though we know that the case is in court and it is pending when we have judgment and all of that, that everybody will actually have maybe some form of closure. Even though sometimes the news that you hear in court, being a lawyer or being a judge, will definitely affect the way you look at issues, especially when it comes to countries like the UK, where they don't joke with issues of minors. The Ekweremadus were alleged to have smuggled somebody out of Nigeria, more or less. So when you say smuggle, that means it takes the person out of their immediate environment without their knowledge in most cases. But in this case, it was a case of they actually wrote a letter. That is Ike Ekweremadu himself wrote a letter seeking for, I'll put the letter on the screen, seeking for assistance to get a visa for the said person to go to the UK. This in itself, brings about a question or two. I'll get to that question or two later. Now, he wrote this letter, and this boy, probably was granted a visa, and he left for the UK. Now, there are a lot of stories back and forth. Nobody is truly clear on what exactly it is that is the actual truth. But we'll only be talking from the perspective of what we know or what we have heard so far, but not blindly. It will be from a position of us saying what we understand from experience and from similar cases that we have seen and we have heard of. Now, this boy was brought into the UK, and then all of a sudden it turned to a case of this boy went to the police and said he was 15 years old and he was trafficked to the UK for an illegal organ harvest. Really? So, a couple of questions. So, first, let's start with this. Is it possible that, the Senate president, with all his experience, with all the years that he has served in the Nigerian Senate, let's forget about any other prior experience, would have actually written a letter to the British High Commission to request for assistance to get a visa for a minor without supporting evidence, which is, in most cases, a letter of consent, either from the parents of that minor or from the guardians of that minor? Initially, I doubt that. Secondly, would the British High Commission not have requested for that supporting letter of consent from the parents or the guardians of that minor? assuming that the boy in question was actually, 15. But hey, that didn't happen. All right, fine. Let's assume that for some strange reason, him being a senator of the Federal Republic, the way Nigerian politicians take things for granted and just throw whatever it is into people's faces and expect things to happen like magic, they were able to procure a visa for this young man. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Don't let me indict him. For this young guy. And then he was flown abroad. One of the strictest, I've traveled quite a bit. And one of the strictest immigrations that I've ever gone through in my life is the British immigration. That is the UK Border Agency. So if you're a minor and you're traveling, when you get in front of a UKBA officer, the first thing he's going to ask you is, are you traveling alone? Because if he's looking at your passport and you're a minor, it's one of two things. It's either you're traveling with somebody from your family or somebody that has the authority to travel with you, or you were handed over to the airline representative in the country of origin where you're traveling from, who is going to hand you over to the immigration officers in that country of destination where you are going. So the first hoop was the British High Commission. The second is the UKBA. I very much doubt that will happen. And people who have traveled, who have been through that process, I'm sure they understand exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So that's where my own curiosity initially started, where I was like, hang on a minute. Is it this easy? You just write a letter and then you're just a guy because you're a senator of the Federal Republic. Maybe I need to start fighting to become a senator then. But I know that it is not. I know that they're not going to waive some certain things for you simply because you hold a political office of some sort. You have to be maybe like at $10 or something for them to be able to do that sort of thing for you. But even at that, I doubt that where a minor is concerned, they will not ask for the required documentation before they grant that visa. Much less if it was a case of they flew commercial to the UK, even if they flew private to the UK. I've never flown private, into the UK and all that. So I don't know what the process is. But I very much doubt that they still won't go through the same process when it comes to immigration. They probably are still going to go through that same process. They're not going to escape it. So how did this issue of this boy being a minor, how did it come about? Well, according to the reports, it stated that the boy actually went to the police to go and report that, he was a minor and he was trafficked to the UK for illegal organ harvest. Wow. But then, at the same time, it was also stated that he was rumored to have had like £20,000 sterling on this person when he reported himself to the police. Really? Now, when you look at, the evidence, that was reported to have been, for the boy in terms of his identity and all that, that is what we can see. So when you look at it, let me take a closer look at it. So it says here that, the guy is actually, he was born on 12th of October, year 2000. So that means at the bare minimum, the guy is going to be 22 this year. Although reports have now come out again that his younger brother has come out, that his younger brother is 22, and the younger brother is saying, this guy, whose name is David Upo Nwamini, is actually 25 years old. Now, we all have to be careful when it comes to how we jubilate over what other people go through, regardless of whatever we think they might have done to us. Like I said to somebody day before yesterday when we were having a discussion around this issue, I said, I don't know Ike Ekweremadu. I've never met him before. I have no relationship with him whatsoever. But first things first, I feel some empathy for him because this is his daughter that is concerned. Even if you are not a parent, at least you have a family member that is younger than you somewhere. You have a family member that is older than you somewhere that you will feel some form of empathy for, that you will not be able to take them being in such a position and you being able to do something about it and you're not doing something about it. So what exactly was all the noise all about? The fact that he was a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and people feel that he did not perform his duties. He did not contribute to the upliftment of the country and all of that. Well, hey, look in the mirror. So many of us have a role that we are playing in the way Nigeria has turned out today, whether we like it or not. I have friends whom their own fathers benefited from this same system. And some of them will look at me or look at you and tell you that, man, this country, man, these politicians, blah, 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 blah. Because everybody forgets. But hey, they were not the ones that were in office. It was their fathers that were in office. So are they supposed to now, tell you that, yeah, their fathers were responsible for it? A lot of them will not do that. But they know the truth. They know that we all contributed to it one way or the other. Now, our guy has been arrested with his wife now, and people were jubilating. All sorts of stuff have been circulating on social media. Let me tell you a few things for a fact. The first is this. One, this is going to affect a lot of Nigerians in ways that you cannot even begin to understand or to imagine. And I'll state the first one for you. The first is this. If you own a laboratory or you have money to invest in a laboratory, I better go and do that very quickly now. You know what, Saturn? Very soon, you're probably going to be asking Nigerians at various embassies around the world, various embassies in Nigeria that represent their countries from around the world, and tell you to bring a bone marrow test to prove your true age. Because this issue now, it's throwing a curveball at everybody, and people don't seem to be seeing it for what it is. It's a very dangerous issue. It is something that should not be taken for granted at all. But people are taking it for granted. People don't realize the implication of what has just happened. Aside the fact that the visa regimens become much stricter every year, the more you talk about some of the things that you perceive to be the issues, that's the same way people are going to treat you, whether you like it or not. You celebrate the fact that somebody's daughter is going through a medical challenge. And because you feel that the person is part of the people that have caused problems in Nigeria, the child should suffer. Well, I don't know about that. I'm not in support of that type of thing. If Ekweremadu himself was arrested, maybe the same way James Iboyi was arrested and all of that, but then he was being charged, that's fine. But we need to go dial back. One, I very much doubt from my gut, and I said it from day one, that boy is not 15. In fact, he's a young man. My own opinion. Two, there are lots of Nigerians who take advantage of each other. So some people want somebody to come and help them over in the UK or in whatever country that they are, and they'll tell somebody who they can see is economically challenged and say, what, follow me abroad, and you have an opportunity of being abroad while they get labor for next to nothing because of how expensive labor is in this part of the world. Nigerians do that. But hey, so many other people do that as well. Some people pay for labor according to how they value the labor. Some will always take advantage of labor wherever they can. That happens. I'm not saying whether it is right or whether it is wrong. I'm just saying that it happens. All right. So Nigerians do that. So they tell you, you know what, I'll take you abroad, blah, blah, blah. And then you go. It's fine. But what the ones that are going should not do when they get there, because if you're under a contract, I believe you're under obligation. You shouldn't get there and then now say that you need to get your freedom by force, by fire. When you are not being maltreated, you now go and report people and say that they were maltreating you. I know people who have gotten into very serious trouble for this type of thing. And in my own opinion, I think it is grossly unfair. If you are not being maltreated, I don't think it is something that you should do. If you are one of those people that is encouraging people to do this type of thing, like we heard that this boy was being encouraged by somebody who is related to him, who lives in the UK, who told him that he could go to the police and claim he was underage. Because if he was a full-blown adult, hey, I don't think the police are going to look at him and say, okay, yeah, you were not in the know. Maybe they will initially look at it and say, okay, probably, he can't read and write, so he probably doesn't know the implication of what it is that he's getting himself into. But if he claims that he's a minor, they are going to shut everything down. They are not going to even bother to check or clarify his age in the first place. The first thing they're going to do is protect him or her if he was a girl. They know their responsibilities and they work towards their responsibilities. So they will shut everything down first. Their first responsibility will be to protect that child. So in such a situation, the amount of trouble that the Ekweremadus have found themselves, I mean, they're looking at 10-year jail terms at a very bare minimum, according to a legal, friend, somebody in the legal profession who spoke to, were asking questions. They're looking at a minimum of 10 years if they are not careful. Because there's a major loophole in this discussion. In the travels of the Ekweremadus, we have not seen anywhere that they've been able to produce a document, either via social media, the way the letter came out, that we were seeking support from the British High Commission to get a visa. Where is the contract? Did he sign a contract with the boy? Was the boy was he knowledgeable enough to know that this was what he was going to get himself into? He was going to actually sell his organ. If he did know that he was going to sell his organ, Ekweremadu being a lawyer, did he actually do the right thing and draft out a contract, let the boy read it, or let the boy get his own lawyer or legal representation to go through it, and then sign an agreement and say, okay, fine, I'm willing to do this. We haven't seen anything of sort. So that in itself is going to be the crucial point in the whole thing. If they cannot come up with that, then I think that even if that boy, gets away with the fact that he came to the UK, blah, 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 and, he was not willing to do that transaction anymore with them, the Ekweremadus are in deep shit. I'm not going to dwell on the rumor of whether the boy had £20,000 on him or not and all of that, because like I said, it was a rumor and all that. There's a lot flying all over on social media. Some people are supporting others, depending on what side of the fence that they have found themselves so far. But if you have a child and the child is going through what the Ekweremadu's daughter is going through, only God knows the type of decision that any one of us would take. So, like I said earlier on, I have a lot of empathy for them, and I hope that they're able to deal with this issue, very, very quickly. And I don't mean the issue of whether they, brought somebody illegally into the UK or whatever. No, that's none of my business. I'm talking about them being able to find an organ for their daughter, so that their daughter maybe, hopefully will survive this very horrendous situation that she's in. That is what is of primary concern to me. Hey, we all take risks in life. Maybe they did take a risk. Maybe they didn't calculate it properly. Maybe that's why they have found themselves in this position that they found themselves. But for the young man in question, if it is discovered or if it is clarified a little bit further down the line that he is not underage as he has claimed, I hope he knows he's going to Rwanda. If he goes by the new policy of the UK for people seeking asylum, because that is where he will find himself at that point, seeking asylum. If he's going to be seeking asylum, I hope he knows that he's going to Rwanda. Because I doubt they are going to make an exception of him. Because if of everything there hadn't been a lie about the age, then maybe some form of consideration of some sort could have come into the issue. But if they find out that there's an iota of a lie in anything that he has said, my brother, now Rwanda they go. Of which I would have just said to you would have been easier for you to ask questions, find out if you can get which countries you can go for free. The Nigerian passport can take you to 44 countries in the world visa free. Rather than putting yourself through all of this. Which I'm sure a lot of people need to know. You don't need to put yourself through all of this. Either you want to go and hike through the deserts or whatever. It's always a painful situation at the end of the day for you to do stuff like that. It serves no purpose because at the end of the day, if you don't get away with it, then you've lost everything and you're starting all over again. Because people, they've been on it for 14, 15 years before the thing backfired. So for that young man, I don't know. I wish him all the best as well. For the average Nigerian who thinks that you can celebrate, the travails of somebody else, I don't think it's the right thing to do. If you want to join the conversation, you can join. You can just call us with the number on the screen that is scrolling, and we can actually take your call. We have a couple of more minutes to go, and if you have anything to say, you can either send us a message on social media, or you can give a quick call in, and we can take your opinion. But in the meantime, I'd like to say that Senator Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice were not granted bail. So it doesn't look very good for either of them. But if they have a good lawyer, hopefully they should be able to get out of this. Now for David, which is the guy's name, what I would advise him to do is start asking the people that he knows for a good immigration lawyer as well. He better start looking for a good immigration lawyer as well, because it's going to be a difficult situation that he has found himself so far. It's a terrible thing for all parties concerned. For the child that needs the organ transplant, for the parents who are going through this travel, and for the David himself who has found himself in this position because the political class are not going to let him get away with this. That I can guarantee you. And the reason why I said that is this. We all keep forgetting that these guys do not have your interests at heart or my interest at heart. It's only their own interests that they have at heart. And they're all one when it comes to the issue of dominance. So whether you are obedient or you're articulated or you're batshit crazy, whatever, whichever position you belong to, it's all the same thing. We all know it's the same thing. All of them fall under the same umbrella, using the same broom and wearing the same glasses to see. On that note, I just like to say, you all need to go and get your PVC. You all need to start working towards trying to get Nigeria in a better shape. Now, for Nigeria to get into a better shape, trust me, it is not a case of who is the president. For you to have better more effective laws in the country, you actually need to start looking at who are the people representing you at the houses of assembly, at the House of Representatives, and at the Senate. Because these are the people who can actually work on the Constitution with your interests if you vote the right people. It is not about who is going to be the president. Nigerians need to be informed of what it takes to either amend the Constitution or to drive new laws that can become effective, drive new programs that can turn the country around. The restructuring that people have been screaming and talking about all the while, that is where it is going to happen at the houses of assembly and at the National Assembly. So don't get it twisted from the start. You need to focus on that. You need to figure out who are these people that are going to represent you at those different levels. It is extremely crucial at this point in time. This is arguably going to be the most important elections in Nigeria's history. So I would implore you, if you have not gotten your PVC, please go and get your PVC. Be ready to vote. But like I said, educate yourself. Educate yourself on what your rights are. Educate yourself on who are the candidates who are vying for those crucial positions in the houses of assembly for your constituency where you live, and also for the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's where it's all going to happen. That's where things are really going to change. I wish Ekweremadu all the best. I wish his daughter all the best as well. And I wish David all the best as well. Next weekend, we're going to be talking to a politician. We're going to be talking about this election. So we're going to be talking to somebody who was going to go into the House of Reps. As a matter of fact, we have two of them lined up. But the first one is male and a very deep and cerebral fellow. And he tried, or he attempted to get the ticket of one of the political parties to run for a seat at the Federal House of Representatives. He's going to tell us a little bit about, his experience there, the issue of internal democracy and all of that, which is always or has always been an issue when it comes to politics in Nigeria. And he had quite a bit to say. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that next weekend on Sunday when we'll bring him on the show and he's going to be talking to us. His name is Aliko Mohammed Aliko, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Please stay tuned and watch out for that interesting show. Now, like we always do before we go, we always give our social message, which is always the issue of, rape. Something happened not too long ago where a young woman was raped and then she was killed as well, and all of that was in the papers. Somewhere in the north of England, and it was horrendous. So, like we say, it's not a Nigerian phenomenon. It's not a black phenomenon. It's not a white phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon, and we all need to fight against the issue of rape. Our campaign is not over. We are still on it. We are still going to continue talking about it for as long as we possibly can. So, please support this campaign against rape. Tweet something about it, say something about it, post something about it. Protect the young ones, protect the adults, and protect the aged, because everybody is vulnerable when it comes to the issue of rape. So please do something about it, talk about it, and fight against it. You all have a great evening, have a great week ahead, and we'll see you again next week on Sunday when we'll come with the next edition of Just Banter. Thank you very much, and you all have a fantastic week ahead. Good night.